What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Man says that Japan is the Israel of Asia. Japan is the Israel of Asia. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but they are. They are. Now, y'all know I love Japan, right? I know we got this Asian boycott, going on. I know everybody's jumping on Tariq for going to Japan, right? And I have to be honest, even though Tariq is my op, right? The boycott is specifically for Asian American businesses in America, right, that disrespect African Americans and Africans in general, but want to build their wealth off our communities. It is not a boycott of all Asians everywhere. It's specifically boycotting these particular Asians who make money off of black communities. Doesn't mean you can't travel to Asia and patronize other, like, you gotta use a scalpel, not a hammer, all right? It's very specific. Doesn't mean be racist to everybody, right? Or don't mean jump on the entire Asian community as a whole, because most Asians are not business owners, okay? And most of the Asian business owners, right, disrespect their own Asian customers as well, all right? They do the same shit, y'all. And also about the, how Japanese talk and how they, articulate themselves when it comes to black people, and how they emulate it. I used to live in Japan. They've been doing that. Japanese people love us, right? You can be confused. You thinking that they hate. No, they really not. Japanese people love us. Just the way they express themselves is vastly different from how we do. So there's always going to be some miscommunication going on here, right? But the Japanese have done a very good job of making themselves look like the premium Asian and the most nicest, peaceful Asians and all that. But in actuality, the Japanese, not the people, but the government, the country itself, they are tyrants, all right? They do a real good job at hiding what they've done, right? But they have been a genocidal imperial force in Asia for quite some time now, all right? Now, you see big old China, right? Big ass China, right? Supposed to be our enemy, whatever. Do you realize that Japanese, all right, colonized China, right? Colonized them, enslaved them. Listen, the Japanese gathered Chinese women, right, for the sole purpose of raping them and murdering them in mass graves. All right, Japanese people have been absolutely terrible to their Asian communities. All right, they're one of the worst offenders when it comes to crimes against humanity. When they weren't killing themselves during their feudal wars, they were killing other Asians, stealing their territory and colonizing them. They are, in fact, most definitely the Jews of Asia, right? And of course, America, after dropping bombs upon them, which, if you notice, most Asian countries don't seem to have a problem with America dropping nukes on Japan. There's a reason for that. Because if it was up to them, they would probably drop more nukes on Japan. That's how evil Japan has been and murderous Japan has been to China, right, and various other Asian countries. And of course, America, you know what we did? We developed and built Japan. That's why Japan is like the number 3, number 4 economy in the world. Because after we nuked them twice, right, justifiably compared, based off what other Asians would say, unjustifiably based on what normal human beings would say, right? After they did that, we spent all of America's taxpayer money and developed and built Japan. All they had to do was not have a military. They got a protective force, which I helped train, and I seen how pathetic their military was. I was like, what is the point, right? It was like a watered down National Guard, right? But now they got to build their shit up because China is on the move. So now they got to build their militaries back up to be a more offensive country. You know how Germany, tried to dominate the whole world, and then they kind of demilitarized themselves and became the opposite super peaceful Europeans who were super useful and helpful to everybody else? Well, that's what Japan did, right? Minus the super useful and helpful to everybody else part. You can go to the country, you can't be a citizen though, right? But that's the same thing they did. And of course, America, we always give reparations to the offenders and not the people who've been offended. So just like America paid reparations to those white corporations, those European-based and Israeli-based corporations that financed and ran their capitalistic businesses off the backs of African enslaved people, right? How America gave them reparations. We also gave Japan reparations after they went and destroyed Asia, enslaved a bunch of Asians, killed, murdered, genocide, just unabashedly, just the most evil shit, All right, they were competing with white folks to be the most evil, devilish creatures on this planet. And they did that to their Asian brothers and sisters to the left and the right of them, right? And America gave them reparations and built their economies to be the number 3 and number 4th biggest economy and most successful economy in the world. Did y'all know that? Y'all see the pattern of how America helps out authoritarian regimes that commit genocide? Hell, we bailed out Germany, didn't we? As a matter of fact, not only did we bail out, America bailed out Germany after they went on their genocidal, their genocidal acts, right? We relocated and expat the ones that were useful to us, right? We took all the scientists, right? Used them, right? We allowed all of them to move to Venezuela, right? The designated Nazi freaking Latino country, right? And then got the Australians. If you noticed, right? Have y'all noticed that? I mean, that we have no problem paying off the genocidal maniacs. We have no problem backing the people committing the genocide and ethnic cleansing, but we never do anything for the victim. You know why? Because America sets the standard. America is Britain 2.0. When America came and genocided the Native Americans with their bad hygiene practices, guns, bullets, and purposeful inoculation of chickenpox and smallpox on the Native American population in the common cold that killed most of them. You know that one we all get every now and then? That right there, the Europeans brought from Europe, killed most of the Native Americans, right? Right? And you notice, America set the standard. Hitler was inspired by, George Washington, the one that we praise and put on a mountain, carved his face on the mountain with the rest of the slave owners, right? And that mountain just happened to be on sacred Native American land, by the way. So one day we need to blow that mountain face off, destroy all those slave owners' heads, and put some Native American heads up there, all right? Because there's definitely 5 Native American heads that deserve to be carved in that mountain, right? In replace of those white slave owners, capitalistic demons who inspired Hitler, who inspired many other genocidal dictator maniacs out there. Anyway, don't let Japan and their anime and their peaceful society that they have now and the way they move about, don't let them fool you. Them guys were some goddamn nasty, savage, demon-ass hominids, all right? These Denisovans, right, was just as savage and barbaric as them goddamn Neanderthals, all right? Keep that in mind. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
I want to talk about Japan, and not the Japan that's sold to us. The cute anime, the cherry blossoms, the polite bowing. We need to talk about the machine, the beast. I'm just going to say it loud and clear. Japan is the Israel of Asia. And I'm not throwing shade at the Japanese people or the citizens or the regular folks. I love the culture. I love the food, the history, the discipline. But I'm talking about the regime, the elite, the people pulling the strings. And I'm talking about the history books that got scrubbed clean, the lies that were told, and all the atrocities that got swept under the rug like they never happened. Because when you look at it, the parallels are fucking scary. Both have this deep-seated sense of being a chosen people, a victim that had to fight for survival, right? But then they use that survival instinct to dominate and control their neighbors. Both have a government that knows how to spin a narrative. Both have a history of brutal expansionism that was justified as liberation or protecting the motherland. But I gotta keep it a bean about what Japan did. The history books in Japan don't tell you about the 3 alls policy. Kill all, burn all, loot all. They don't tell you about Unit 731, where they performed live dissections on people, tested chemical weapons on civilians, and froze people to death just to see how long it would take. They don't tell you about the Nanjing Massacre, where they literally raped and slaughtered hundreds of thousands of people, men, women, children, turning the city into a living hell. They don't tell you about the comfort of women, thousands of women, young girls, forced into sexual slavery, taken from Korea, China, the Philippines, Indonesia, kept in comfort stations, and raped day after day until their bodies gave out. They don't tell you about the forced labor, millions of people from across Asia put to work in mines and factories under brutal conditions, many of whom died. Their lives were worth nothing to the Japanese war machine. And what do they get in return? They get called hardworking, peace-loving, economically successful. They get to be the good guys in the narrative. They get to sell their cars and electronics to the very people they destroyed, and nobody bats an eye. They get to play the victim of the atomic bombs, which was a horrific tragedy, don't get me wrong. But they use that to erase the decades of horror they inflicted on everybody else. It's a masterclass in propaganda, and the world bought it. And the root of the problem is a lack of accountability. It's a refusal to face the ugly parts of history. It's a collective amnesia. The Japanese elite built their prosperity on the backs of other Asians, and they've never fully paid for it. They've never fully apologized in a way that feels real. It's always a regrettable incident or a moment of reflection, but the actions don't match the words. They visit shrines that honor war criminals. They rewrite textbooks to downplay their aggression. They silence the voices of the survivors who dare to speak out. And y'all want to know something crazy? After World War II, who got rebuilt? Who got a blank check? Japan. The United States, in its infinite wisdom, decided to rebuild its former enemy, pouring billions into the Japanese economy, turning them into an economic powerhouse. They gave the Japanese citizens before they gave the slave descendants and the indigenous people their reparations, after slavery and the genocides. Japan got infrastructure, they got technology, they got a leg up on the entire world, all on the dime of the very nation that defeated them. They got reparations from their conqueror. Now let's look at Vietnam. What did Vietnam get after the United States dropped more bombs on them than all sides combined in World War II? What did they get after Agent Orange poisoned their land and their people for generations? What did they get after millions of their civilians were killed? Fucking nothing. They got a trade embargo. They got isolation. They got treated like a pariah state for daring to win a war against a global superpower. That's what the hypocrisy is. You reward the aggressor who attacked you and punish the victim who dared to resist you. That's the world we live in. A world built on double standards and selective memory. That's what I want to talk about for this video. I want to talk about all the shit that gets glossed over because it doesn't fit the technological genius narrative. They talk about the greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere like it was some noble mission, but it was just a fancy name for a brutal colonial empire. They stripped Korea of its language, its culture, its very identity, forcing people to take Japanese names and bow to their emperor. They plundered Manchuria, ripping out its coal and steel, its resources to fuel their own war machine, leaving the land barren and the people starving. They looted so many temples and palaces across Asia, stealing priceless artifacts, gold, wealth, and cultural treasures that are still sitting in Japanese museums or private collections today. Stolen wealth that helped build their post-war economy. They implemented a system of absolute control, treating their neighbors as subhumans, as nothing more than resources to be exploited. And ladies and gentlemen, this was not just a war. This was a systematic dismantling of entire civilizations for their own benefit. And the most fucked up part to me is that a lot of that shiny futuristic Japan that you see today, the bullet trains, the advanced electronics, the booming post-war economy, all of that shit was not built on their own innovation. It was built on stolen wealth. It was built on the resources they ripped from the ground in Korea, China, the Philippines. It was built on the gold they looted from conquered nations. It was built on the free labor they forced upon millions. They robbed Asia blind. And then they used that stolen capital to rebuild themselves into a technological powerhouse. And then they had the goddamn nerve to sell themselves to the world as self-made geniuses. It's the ultimate lie. A nation built on a foundation of theft, and they pretend they earned it all through hard work and ingenuity. Japan, you have to face the truth. Y'all have to stop hiding behind the nice guy mask. You have to acknowledge the pain. You have to stop teaching a sanitized version of history in your schools. You need to have these uncomfortable conversations. You have to demand genuine reparations, not just words or a bow, actual change, actual money, actual resources for the descendants of the people you destroyed. You have to tear down the shrines that honor war criminals and replace them with monuments to the victims. You have to make the truth of your past a part of your national identity, not something to be ashamed of or hidden away. I'm not making this video to send hate to Japan. This whole video is about justice and healing. Until you own your full history, you can't own your future. Asia is gonna remain divided. You're gonna remain hated. Everyone in Asia is gonna just keep attacking you guys, and you guys are gonna stay divided. So stop lying. Be real. Anybody from Asia watching this video that suffered, listen, I get it. That's the whole reason I wanted to shed light during this video, because I see y'all, I hear y'all. I genuinely believe your pain and your anger is valid and justified. And you guys don't have to forgive if you don't want to. You don't have to move on if you're not ready. But you do need to know that, bro, it's okay. It's okay to be angry. You're not crazy. All that shit that happened was real. The history is real. The theft is real. The trauma is real. Stop carrying that weight in silence. Your stories need to be told. Your voices need to be heard. The world needs to listen. And to the Japanese people, I love you guys too, but you need to look in the mirror. Look at your history. Look at what your country did. Stop pretending it didn't happen. Own it. Fix it. Mind you, I'm not even Asian, but once you own it and fix it, all of you can move forward together as one continent, as one people, not as victims and oppressors, because the truth will set you guys free. But first, you have to be brave enough to hear it. And I think you guys need to start listening.
During World War II, Japan's invasion of China launched an 8-year war, which ultimately killed an estimated 19 million to 35 million Chinese people. And during this time, the Japanese military also lured, purchased, or kidnapped hundreds of thousands of women for sexual slavery for their imperial army, women who were subjected to some of the most horrifying experiences inflicted upon military prostitutes in history. More people would die from the rape of Nanjing than from the atomic blasts at Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. The Japanese military had issued a kill all captives order at the time, which seems to have come as a directive from some of the highest levels of military power. Across the city, the army machine gunned tens of thousands of Chinese men, or buried them alive, or used them for bayonet practice, or decapitation contests, or thousands of men were simply sprayed with gasoline and set on fire. Now, most of these executions were efficient, but there were men who died under the most slow, sadistic, and excruciatingly painful circumstances when Japanese soldiers turned murder into sport. After killing most of the men in the city in this fashion, the Japanese army then turned their attention on the Chinese women. In the city of Nanjing, no woman was safe. Japanese soldiers raped great-grandmothers over the ages of 80, along with children under the ages of 8. In the end, the Japanese raped more than 20,000 women and girls in Nanking, and some estimate that the figure is probably as high as 80,000 women and girls. The government tried to control the libido of the Japanese soldiers by creating their own prostitution ring, which we now know as the comfort women system or the Korean comfort women system. An estimated 200,000 women, most of them Korean women, but many also from other Asian countries, some of whom were also Caucasian, such as Dutch women, were forced to serve in what the Japanese government called facilities of sexual comfort to stop troops from raping women in regions that they controlled in China. And many of these comfort women were only, teenagers or even children when they were captured. We all know that Germany has made several profuse apologies to their wartime victims. But the Japanese government has yet to deliver one sincere apology directly to the survivors of the Nanjing Massacre or to their families. And some of the apologies that they claim to have made to the wartime victims in general have often avoided the use of the words apologies in general, preferring words like remorse or regret, and is not really deemed as sincere by many of the victims of the Japanese across Asia. Now, in the realm of war restitution, the differences between how the two countries have dealt with their wartime past loom large. The Germans have paid the equivalent of about 60 billion US dollars in war reparations to their victims and will continue to pay several more billion by the year 2005. But the Japanese government has paid close to nothing, and certainly not 1 penny in reparation to the victims of Nanking. What's even more disturbing, I think, is how the subject of World War II is taught in schools in both countries. The Germans have required by law the teaching of the history of the Jewish Holocaust in their schools. And any teacher who refuses to participate or neglects to teach this history is simply breaking the law. But the Japanese government, far from mandating the study of their World War II aggression, has, through the Ministry of Education, openly impeded the efforts of textbook authors to do so in that country, and have even censored, whitewashed, or distorted details of the Nanking atrocities and other wartime crimes from school textbooks, despite a 3-decade-long lawsuit waged against the Ministry of Education by textbook author and historian Anaga Saburo.
Everyone else find it extremely fucked up that we don't remember all the horrific shit that Japan did throughout the years because they covered all that shit up with anime? Because I think you guys seem to be forgetting that these motherfuckers used to be our ops. Like, they really just came in, no warning, just dropping bombs all over our ships. The fuck? And then we just went crash out on them, and we dropped 2 big-ass nuclear bombs on 2 of their big cities. Like, how are we just gonna let that shit blast by? Because you'd think after dropping 2 huge-ass bombs on their country, it'd be on fucking sight between each of us. But you know what somehow resolved that issue? It was baseball and anime. Like, as soon as we got that shit, we were just like, you know what? Those bombs on Pearl Harbor weren't actually that bad. Like, what the fuck? Like, these motherfuckers for real just gave us Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen, and we just forgot all that shit in the past happened. Like, all I'm trying to say is that these guys used to be allied up with that boy Adolf. Like, what the fuck? And the only reason why everyone remembers all the heinous shit that Germany did and not fucking Japan is because Germany didn't have fucking anything to offer us. Cause like, what the hell does Germany offer us? A fucking cheese bratwurst? Like, get that nasty shit out of here! Like, we for real had Japan over here offering us cool shit like anime and manga and electric cars. And then you had bum-ass Germany over here offering us a fucking schnitzel. Like, you wonder why you guys got so fucked over in the Treaty of Versailles. What the fuck is that? Because in addition to remembering the Holocaust, we should also remember the fucking Nanjing Massacre too. Like, these motherfuckers were burning everything. Killing people, killing babies, killing women, raping women. Like, these motherfuckers were straight up on their Griffith-type timing. And in addition to that, These demonic motherfuckers were doing hella fucking human experiments on people. Like, these dudes were for real trying to make All Might or some shit. Like, my grandpa was in the Nanjing Massacre, and the shit that he told me was genuinely horrific. Like, this dude at like 12 years of age got orphaned because the Japanese killed his entire fucking family, and he had to witness his house get burned down, and all his ancient monuments and statues that he loved also got fucking burned down. Like, dude, that shit's actually crazy. And until the day he fucking died, he didn't trust Japanese people with anything. Like, as soon as a Japanese person would enter the room, he had to leave that bitch because he would get scared and uncomfortable. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really blame him. Like, to put it into retrospect for you guys, let's just say one day I had to watch my parents get packed the fuck up by a group of furries, and then after, they burned my fucking house down. Like, that's the type of shit that he had to see at 12 years of age. Like, he's low-key a better man than me, because if it were me, it'd be on site with these fucking furries.
Motherfuckers like this is why Chinese and Japanese will never get along.
特に本田勝一という人が書いた南京大虐殺の捏造本ですね。エリスちゃんのレイプ・オブ・南京とかね、本田勝一とかの本で捏造が始まったんじゃないかと私は思っています。
This guy claims the Nanjing Massacre is a fabricated story, and this is exactly why the anger still exists today. People love to ask about why Chinese people still hold on to so much anger about the war. It's not some inherent hatred for the Japanese people. It is the exact behavior right here in that video. It's about the complete refusal to apologize, the refusal to recognize history, and the active attempt to gaslight the freaking descendants of the victims. That motherfucker wants to blame the fucking tension on the modern day political leaders. The fucking tension exists because hundreds of thousands of Chinese civilians were slaughtered. Decades later, the revisionists are walking the streets calling it a fake story. Author Chang did not invent the horror story when she wrote the book, The Rape of Nanking. There's fuck ton of photographs, first-hand accounts, foreign witnesses that documented stuff. She just put it in a book and made everyone look at it. Japan as a country needs to understand historic records include mass murder. The bare minimum that you need to do that require for you guys to move forward is an apology and accountability. Instead, we got that motherfucker acting like invading soldiers were like welcome heroes. You literally cannot build peace with your neighbor who keeps trying to rewrite the murders that they committed.
Why do Chinese people still hate Japan, and why to us what they did is worse than Nazi? Today's video is gonna be my saddest one, but I think you need to know this very shocking truth. From 1937 to 1945 in World War II, Japan invaded China. The war of resistance against Japan wasn't just a battle, it was China's fight for survival. Around 350 million Chinese died for that. The worst moment, the Nanjing Massacre. Over 300,000 Chinese civilians were killed, women raped, children buried alive. And the Japanese army even conducted the most cruel and horrible atrocities, experiments on the human body in Nanjing. The facts are just too horrible to be described here. What's more infuriating is that Japan has never truly apologized. They kept denying the history. Look at Germany. After the Holocaust, Germany has always a good attitude. They built memorials, they paid reparations, and their leaders said, "We are guilty, we are sorry." But Japan, they deliberately delete this part of history from their textbooks. So it's never taught and never talked about in Japan, just like it never happened before. So until nowadays, many young people in Japan still don't know its existence. And many Japanese politicians still visit Yasukuni Shrine. That's where Japanese war criminals are honored. So to Chinese people, it's spitting on old wounds. Until nowadays, it's a deep wound that hasn't been healed. I'm Leia, an intercultural analyst in China. I made this video not to spread the hate, but I want you to know the truth. More understanding, more comprehension. Also, a little advice for those who want to come to China. The topic around Japan is very sensible here, so take it carefully when you talk with Chinese people, because the wound is too deep. I'm Leia, one video, one insight about China.
Japan did terrible things to China. In my opinion, as a Japanese person, I think Japan deserved the first bomb. But second one, it's too much. So I never understood the second one. Never did. Until just recently I figured out. I was using a microwave. I put my food out and my food wasn't piping hot enough. I was like, why in this hot pocket not surrendering? So I had to nuke it again.
In it to win it, unlimited under a minute, 100% I give it until my shit is diminished. They call me Dennis the Menace, and all these niggas are winners. The way I tended to business, I should've had an apprentice. I think I'm getting the hang of it, controlling, maintaining it. Really ain't no explaining it. How I managed obtaining it early. This shit was straining me, now my body sustaining it. Bail miners complaining, cause now it ain't no containing me. Let me slow it down. Picture on the mound, make you play catch with these words that I throw around. I strike fear when I roar, and you know the sound. Everybody in this world avoid know what's going down. Talk style, but it really ain't a thing to me. More swag than a Kai and a Supreme Lady. Hoping the universe still got a ring to me. Full power, I ain't even throw a beam fully. Run over brain and a test in the testicles. I need that more so than I need a Connie. That some of the time intellectual textuals better than some of these popular oculars. Next page editorial, I'm a story. I'ma write it like a nigga fighting for the glory. I'm a water badge owner. You don't want to pass overflow evolved with the water stone. I'm a Vaporeon. Seconds remaining, the ending is nearing. I'm taking us home, I'm controlling and steering. Fans give me faith and I'm hearing, I'm cheering. Nigga, no way am I fearing, no jeering. Now here is a closing piece. Ain't nobody alive spitting close to me. Last man standing have a toast to me. This is how the end of the super was supposed to be, nigga.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.